Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
I cordially welcome Dr. Melukonte K. Sridhar, PhD and former Registrar of S-VYASA as our esteemed speaker to the satsang on the topic Na Ayam Atma Balahinena Labhyam. Self cannot be realized by a weak person. His profound knowledge, vast experience and contributions to the academics make this gathering a truly enriching and insightful experience. Professor Sridhar is a distinguished academic with roles at various institutions, a Fulbright scholar and recipient of multiple awards. He has authored numerous publications presented globally and holds advisory positions. I request her to kindly proceed.
Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Shrutismriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Professor Arun from the Division of Yoga and Spirituality, all those who are interested in this spirituality activity of the satsang, I am very happy to share some of my thoughts on the topic given by Sri Arunji on Ayam Atma Balahinena Labhyaha. So, we will deal with this in the next few minutes, elaborate on it, and finally arrive at the conclusion. At the outset, this comes in the Mundaka Upanishad. Each of you are very well aware of the word Upanishad. It is derived from three words, Upa, Ni and, which are the prepositions, followed by Shadal Ru is the root. Sad or Shadal Ru. So what is the meaning? Upa means nearness. Ni means totality, entirety. Sad means to loosen the bondage. To have a movement, Gatihi, Visharanam Gatihi. So when we combine all these three words, Upanishad means sitting close to the teacher and understanding the knowledge, supreme knowledge. That is Upanishads. Upanishads are the Vedanta which come at the end of the Vedas, therefore they are called Vedanta. Vedanam Antaha. Antaha at the end of Vedas, they are the Upanishads. The Indian general traditional tradition says there are 10 Upanishads. Actually, 360 Upanishads have been listed. From among them, it is said 108 are important, and from among them, 10 are very, very important. Isha Kera Kata Prashna Munda Mandukya Tittirihi Aitareyancha Chandogyam Vrahadaranya Mevacha. These are the 10 Upanishads. Apart from that, Shankaracharya has listed other 6 Upanishads, Shvetashvatara, Kataka, etc. and he comments upon them. But generally, these are the 10 or the 16 Upanishads which have come down to us as a hereditary succession from the seers and the sages since the time of the Vedas. So, what is then the subject matter of the Upanishad? It deals with only three major subjects. The first one is the supreme reality and the supreme consciousness or the Brahman. The second one is the individual self or individual consciousness called the Jivatma. The third is the world called the Jagat. So their interrelationships, Jivatma, Paramatma and the world are Atman, Brahman and the Jagat and their interrelationships. The word Brahma is derived from root of the Sanskrit word Brah, means to expand, enlarge. So, Bruhati iti Brahma. Bruhati tasmad uchyate iti Brahma. That which expands, that which encompasses the entire universe is called Brahman, which is the supreme reality. Then when the same supreme reality trickles down to the earth and when the various jivas assume in this body or the deha consisting of the five jnanendriyas or the sensorial organs, the five karmendriyas or the motor organs with that of manas, the mind, buddhi, the determinative faculty and Antakarana, the internal instrument, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara. Manas, the mind, Buddhi, determinative faculty. That's how Swami Vivekananda translated it as in his Raja Yoga. Then Ahankara, egoism, all the three combined together is called Ahankara, the internal instrument. Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara combined is called Antakarana. Antaha, internally, Karana, the instrument responsible for all our activities. So, with this, when all these five jnanendriyas, the five karmendriyas and the manas, buddhi, ahankara combine, it assumes and it is the body or the jiva which faces this world depending upon its past actions or karmas based on the resultant of those actions in the previous birth or births. It engages in continuous cycle of birth, death and rebirth. Jivan, Marana, Chakra. The cycle of birth and death. Depending upon the past karmas and the actions. And once this ajnana or the ignorance which is responsible for all these birth, death, etc. are removed, then a person understands and realizes that he is a spark of the divine and he is none other than the supreme consciousness, that is Brahman. So, this is all the total subject matter of the Upanishads, which is explained in various ways, and basically it is Jnana Marga, path of knowledge. Apart from that, you have the path of action or karma marga, path of bhakti or devotion, bhakti marga, then raja marga or path of meditation. Then there are so many other mantra yoga, japa yoga, laya yoga and so on. Let us not go deep into these yoga. But generally these four yogas have been recognized. That's what you find in the Bhagavad Gita, which comes in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata from chapter 25 to 42, 18 chapters consisting of 700 verses. The first 6 chapters deal with Karma Yoga, path of action. The next 6 chapters, 7 to 12, deal with path of bhakti or devotion. Then 12 to 18, it deals with Jnana Marga or path of knowledge as well as path of meditation. So, this Atma or the soul has to be realized. Each of us know, as serious students of Vedas and the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, the Prasthanatrayas, we all know that we have to realize it. How can we realize it? In the Upanishad, such statements you find. the statement given by Sri Arunji is Ayam Atma Balahinena Labhyam. I am this Atma soul, Balahinena, by a weak person, na Labhyaha, cannot be obtained. Atma or a soul cannot be obtained or attained by weak people. That's what the verse here, in the Mundaka Upanishad, in the second section, it goes on. Nayamatma Balahinena Labhyaho Nacha Pramadat Tapaso Navalinga Vapyalinga Yedai Rupaidai Yatate Yastu Vidwan Tasyaisha Atma Vitate Brahmanama. This is the verse we find, and he has picked up the first line and he has given to us. Let us understand. It is basically an inward exercise, not an outward exercise. Initially, it is to deal inside, turn inside, to meditate, contemplate, as elaborated in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Atma vare shrotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavyaha. Atma, the soul, first of all should be heard. Shrotavyaha, ought to be heard. Shrotavyaha, ought to be heard. Mantavyaha, ought to be meditated upon. Then, nididhyasitavyaha, ought to be contemplated upon. And it has to be done through the guidance or the help of a guru or a preceptor. We cannot learn swimming by reading a book, isn't it? By reading a book on swimming, you cannot jump into the swimming pool and learn swimming. You should have an expert swimmer as your guide. Like that, in order to attain in this path of Jnana Marga or any Marga or path for that matter, you should have a very good spiritual teacher and a guide, a philosopher, etc. Then only you can achieve it. Then, it is, as I told you, inward thing. It's not an external one. Most of the time, we are having born in this world, we engage in outward activities all the time. We as human beings are engaged and engrossed in all the outside activities of the world, that is Jagat. Till then it is a duality. I am the person, the external outside world is there which I am interacting and experiencing. All the time this awakening awareness is always there. It is a total duality. But as long as this duality exists, you can never get your desired object of knowing oneself, understanding oneself. This is what, initially my spiritual guru, Swami Ranganathanandji, always used to tell, the within and without of things. The within and without. The within is present within yourself, without is present outside. In fact, Shakespeare in one of his sonnets, 147, makes this statement of within and without. So Shakespeare has written so many sonnets, in one of his, I think 147, something like that, he makes this within and without concept, which was fully elaborated by Swami Ranganathananda, where taking the idea from the same Mundaka Upanishad, Dve Vidye Veditavye Para Pare Aparecha. In fact, we have to understand, being born as human being, we have to know two types of knowledge. One is Apara Vidya, means lower knowledge. Para Vidya, higher knowledge. Apara Vidya is, which our Honorable Chancellor Dr. H.R. Nagendraji calls it as fundamental knowledge. Then the Para Vidya Para-vidya is supreme knowledge. Supreme knowledge. So, which Swami Ranganathanji calls it as higher science and lower science. Tasmai sahovacha dve vidye veditavye iti hasma yat brahma vidho vadanti para cha eva apara cha. See, Mundaka Upanishad very clearly declares in his first chapter, in his first section, first chapter I should say. So, he said that Atharva is mentioning, says Atharva is elaborating about this. So, being born as human being, we have to learn two types of knowledge. Para Vidya, supreme knowledge, and Apara Vidya means the lower knowledge. But as translated by Dr. H.R. Nagendraji, fundamental knowledge is Apara Vidya. In the modern, present, contemporary, modern times, it is all your humanities, science, technology, engineering, medicine, all comes under Apara Vidya. And Para Vidya is knowing about your own self, which Swami Ranganathanji always used to tell, science of man in depth. So, that is knowing about yourself. That is Paravidya, which he calls it as within of knowledge. Aparavidya, which he calls it as Aparavidya, he calls it as without knowledge. Without means not without knowledge. Without means external, outside. So, that way, in order to understand about the Atma, one should be very strong. He should be strong physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually. Hence, the Taittiriya Upanishad makes this famous statement while giving the analysis of the measure of Ananda. Ashishto yuva syat yuva adhyapakaha ashishto balishto dradishtaha Yasyevam prithvi vittasya purna syat sa eko manushanandaha. See, this is what which comes in Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. What is that? Very clearly it is mentioned. Who has to study the Upanishad? Who has to study the Prasthanatrayas? Is it the old people who have crossed 60, 70, 80 people? Certainly not. Our spiritual Guru Swami Ranganathanji always used to tell to us when we were young, at the age of 8, 10, I came into contact with him, and with of course our Subramaniam ji is there, still more contact with him, even earlier with him. He always used to tell Upanishad should be taught to young people in the formative years, in the age group of 9 to 16 and 22. Then they will be able to face the challenges of life. They will face the challenges of life. They will never commit suicide. Turn any newspaper every day, Daily Chronicle, so many you find about the suicides, various reporting of suicides, 3 reported or 5 reported in Bangalore, unreported 5. 230,000 people committing suicide in India now, in this 21st century. What is the reason? Because they have not understood themselves very clearly. They were not given this knowledge which is called Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idam, Uttamam, as told in the Bhagavad Gita. It is Rajavidya, royal knowledge. Rajaguhyam, royal secret knowledge. Pavitram, it is sacred. Therefore, Uttamam, it is the best. Barring that, we are teaching STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, medicine, etc., which will only help them to lead a very good, comfortable, happy life. But what about their personal life, and what about it gives them very happy materialistically, which is Annamaya Kosha. But what about their Anandamaya Kosha? It is not there at all. So these have to be taught to become, they are physically, mentally, emotionally strong. Therefore, Upanishads teaches us, as told by Swamiji repeatedly again and again, Abhihi, fearlessness. Upanishads teaches you fearlessness. It teaches you Abhaya. So, going back to that, in the times of the Vedas and the Upanishad, which were the Apara Vidya learned? Tatra Apara, Rig Vedo, Yajurveda, Samavedo, Atharva Veda, Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruttam, Chando, Jyotisham, Iti, Atha, Para, Yaya, Tadaksharam, Adhigamyate. See, very clearly mentioned. In those times when this was taught in the Gurukula, when student was sitting close to the teacher and the teacher was imparting this secret knowledge to his beloved student, the first he learned the Apara Vidya, the lower science and the fundamental knowledge of the four Vedas. In order to understand the Vedas, he has to learn the 6 limbs of the Veda. Shiksha, that is phonetics, science of phonetics, Kalpa, rituals, Vyakarana, grammar, Nirukta, etymology, Chandas, prosody, because everything is in the form of verses. Then Jyotisha, astronomy. Please don't confuse with astrology, which is a mixture of science and superstition. People say it is Pakka Vedic astronomy. That is Vedanta Jyotisha. So, all these 6 limbs only have to be learned and mastered before you study the Vedas. Then only you will understand. Otherwise, Vedas are unintelligible, a hard nut to crack, because they have a secret meaning which was deciphered by Sayana Madhava in his Rigveda Bhashya Bhumika, later in our modern times by Kavya Kantha Vasishta Ganapati Muni, then Brahmarshi Daivaratha and Sri Aurobindo. So, in order to understand the secret of the Vedas, you have to learn these 6 limbs of the Vedas. Then with that, there ends your Apara Vidya. Then Para is Yaya, by which that Aksharam, imperishable, Adhigamyate, is approached, is attained. You can go near that. What is this Akshara then elaborated? So I'll come to that few minutes from now. And before that, the theme of the today's topic, Ayam Atma Balahinena Labhyam, Nacha Pramada, not by blunder. You cannot understand the Vedas and the Upanishads by accident or by online. Na tapasaha, not just by meditation. Va api alingat. So, you cannot understand just by a sign, because by knowing one thing, you know everything. So, that concept is there in the West. But that cannot happen here, because you should be guided by a guru. Yetaihi upayaihi yatate yastu vidwan. A vidwan, a scholar, has to try various ways in approaching this Akshara or the Supreme Atma or the Parabrahman and reach Brahmadama, the ultimate abode of Brahma or the Supreme Consciousness. And this Supreme Consciousness can be attained only by bold and courageous people. Who are the bold and the courageous people? It is given in the next shloka. Te sarvagam sarvata prapya dhiraha vitaragaha prashantaha. Those who have left all sorts of attachment. Those who are not attached to the materialistic world and all its materialistic properties and everything which comes under the prayers according to the Upanishad, according to the Vedas, prayascha, shreyascha, it goes on elaborating again in the Upanishad. So, prashantaha, mind should be calm and quiet and tranquil like the crystal water of a lake. Rushayaha jnana truptaha. The sages and seers are truptaha, happy by jnana, knowledge. Jnana here refers to supreme knowledge. ultimate knowledge which gives you total awareness of yourself. This awareness can only come if you turn inward, not outside. As long as we are engaging in our day-to-day ritualistic activities, day-to-day external activities, engaged in materialistic activities, earning wealth, money, properties, all those things, we can never attain this Brahman at all. For which we have to turn inward. Turn inside. As elaborated in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, first you should hear. What to hear? Shrotamyaha. Then mantavyaha. Having heard, you have to start reflecting upon it. Start reflecting as to is it a reality or an unreality? Is it true or false? You have to examine yourself by exercising your buddhi. Intelligence or determinative faculty as told by Swami Vivekananda in his Raja Yoga. That which distinguishes between good, bad, right, wrong. Then righteousness and unrighteousness. Thus that aspect of the mind is called buddhi. You have to exercise buddhi to understand it. So, then only mantavyaha happens internally. So, having confirmed that there is one reality, there is some supreme reality which can be attained through meditation or through jnana yoga or through karma yoga or whatever it may be, then it should be nididhyasitavyaha, totally contemplated. This contemplation should come, and at the end of the contemplation, you will get that awareness. Then some questions may be lurking in your mind. How about the sleep? How about the sleep? And we are not aware of anything. We are not aware of anything. And is there a consciousness at the time? Are we experiencing the consciousness? Because alright, in Jagrat Avastha, in the waking state as elaborated in the Mandukya Upanishad, smallest Upanishad consisting of 12 mantras only, in the Jagrat Avastha, there is always duality. I am the knower, outside there is the knowledge and it should be known. In Vedantic term, it's called Triputi Jnanam. Jnana, knowledge is there. Jnaya, that should be known. Jnatum yogyaha, jnayaha, that should be known. And I am the knower, jnatru. In fact, Swami Nikhilananda has written a book on only this, published from New York, knower and the known. So, way back almost 60 years ago. So very important is knowledge. Knowledge is present. This knowledge, jnana, has to be known. Jnaya. Who is knowing it? Myself, jnatru. In order to know this, you have to exercise this triputi jnana. And this is present every day in our deep sleep. In Jagrat Avastha it is not there because we are interacting externally. And in the dream state, Swapna Avastha, you are not aware of yourself, but you are experiencing the dream. In the dream, you are singing, dancing, running, crying, weeping. You are still there in the dream. You are a part and parcel of the dream. So duality or dvaita exists even in the dream, Swapna Avastha. And you get a flash of lightning. Therefore it's called Taijasa. Mandukya sage says it is Taijasa. Tejas means the light which illumines. So you get illumined by the dream. Jagrat is called Vaishvanara. Yeah, just as a fire spreads everywhere, your activity spreads everywhere. Even in Swapna Avastha, you are having the dream and you are the experiencer. In that dream, you are very much present and the duality is present in the dream. So the ignorance continues as Gaudapada, who was the guru of Govinda Bhagavat Pada, who wrote Mandukya Karika, consisting of 216 Karikas in 4 sections, elaborates about there based on the Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad has only 12 mantras, but Gaudapada has written elaborately on their Mandukya Karika extensively, where he writes and tells even ignorance or ajnana persists both in the waking state and in the dream state. Then, from that you slip into the sushupti, deep sleep stage. In the deep sleep state, you are not aware of yourself. In that state, the Atma or the soul is active and your mind, buddhi, ahankara, manas, buddhi, ahankara, etc. are not active because we are sleeping like a carb-surrounded body. Sushupti, deep sleep state. Is this deep sleep stage akin or near to the samadhi stage? No. Transcendental consciousness stage? No. Because Gaudapada elaborates and says in his Karika, even there the avidya, the ajnana or the ignorance persists. You are not aware of that ignorance, that's all. But that ajnana still continues. But there is some light of consciousness. That is called prajna. Prajna means consciousness. In fact, prajnanam Brahma. So Upanishads say among the 4 Mahavakyas, Brahma is full of prajna, profound consciousness, absolute consciousness, total consciousness is very much present, but you find a tinge of ignorance present in that. Still it is, basically it is a deep sleep stage. You are enjoying the bliss of the Brahman, but little ignorance continues and you are not awakened. Whereas when you undergo the deep meditation, when you move from the stage of dharana as elaborated by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra, Deshabandhas Chittasya Dharana, concentrating totally on one single object is dharana, means concentration, total concentration. Tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. When it is intensified, becomes more and more, it becomes dhyana. When the dhyana is intensified, it becomes samadhi. So in that samadhi, when a person engages, he is experiencing the awareness. He is enjoying that bliss, ananda, supreme bliss, unalloyed bliss. He is aware of it without ahankara or egoism, without the I-ness or the minus, M-Y-N-E-S-S, minus, and that is the samadhi and the transcendental consciousness which was elaborated by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in his Kathamrita to his student, Vivekananda, Vaidyanatha Sanyal and others. So he could get into the trance state whenever he wanted. This samadhi, how is this? It is elaborated. Sushupti asthanaha prajno makaras trutiya matra miter apiterva minotiha va idagam sarvam apitischa bhavati ya evam veda. So, from the Jagrut state of duality, that is Vaishwanara. The Atma slips into, when you sleep, into the stage of Swapna or dream, into the stage of Taijasa or some light of knowledge. From that, when you go to the deep sleep, Sushupti, you will experience the deep sleep with some amount of joy, but beyond that is present the Turiya or the fourth. It is not called the state, but it's an experience. And this experience, is elaborated. Eki Bhuta Prajnana Gana Eva Anandamayo Hi Ananda Bhuk Cheto Mukha Prajnaha Tritiya Pada. So, it cannot be explained, it can only be experienced because it is Shantam, quiet and beatitude. It is Shivam, auspicious in nature. It is Advaitam, non-dualistic in nature. It is the fourth called the Turiya Sa Atma Vigneyaha. That Atma or the soul has to be experienced, and it can be experienced only by people who are very strong. Ashishtaha, who are very persevere in nature, as elaborated in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Dradishtaha, very resolute in his activity. Resilience is important. Balishtaha, very strong physically, mentally, emotionally. Only such people can attain it. And also, Varishtam, Brahmai Vedo, Varishtam, it is said, Shrotriyaha, a real Vedic scholar. A person who is genuinely interested in knowing about his own self. Such a person is called Shrotriya, and he is knowing about what? Brahma eva idam varishtam. Idam, this Brahma, supreme reality, varishtam, supreme and ultimate in nature. Hence, Upanishads have been declaring that you are that supreme reality, ultimate supreme reality of the universe, which was elaborated in the four Mahavakyas, the Ayam Atma Brahma, Ayam, this Atma, the soul is Brahma, ultimate supreme reality. Prajnanam Brahma, this Brahma is full of consciousness, absolute consciousness. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, as elaborated in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam, it is absolute truth or pure truth. Jnanam, absolute Jnanam or absolute knowledge. Anantam, eternal in nature, so that eternality is absolute consciousness. That is the nature of the Brahman, not the qualities of the Brahman. Because if Brahman has qualities, if I make a statement, or if the Upanishadic thinkers make a statement, then it's obvious that it becomes a dualistic in nature. So, Satya, Jnana, Ananta are the very nature of Brahman, supreme ultimate reality, that you have to experience. That can be experienced only by turning inward more and more, not externally, because external thing is always endowed with duality. But if you are engaged in Karma Yoga, but if you are engaged and engrossed in total Karma Yoga with Asangatva, without attachment, then that also becomes a regular practice, and it is possible to attain such a thing. So, as we come to the end, this Atma or the soul can only be attained by strong people, mind people who are very strong, people who are strong physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually. Such people only can be obtained. So we have to move from one level to the other, elaborated by our Honorable Chancellor in S-Pancha, Kosha Viveka, from Annamaya to Pranamaya, Pranamaya to Manomaya, Manomaya to Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya to Anandamaya. This Vijnana is consciousness in the Buddhist philosophy. And the same Vijnana is, was taken by the Buddhists from our Upanishads only. So that is the ultimate samam bodham of all the Upanishad. By which what do you get? You get nothing but total bliss which cannot be measured, as told in Mandukya Upanishad, amatra, immeasurable. And you get absolute freedom. This freedom, elaborated by Swami Ranganathananji, physical freedom, mental freedom, intellectual freedom, leading to spiritual freedom of knowing your own self. So this is what I just wanted to mention in the time given. I am sure the S-VYASA Yoga team to university, under the guidance of the great teachers, under the guidance of the great leaders and scholars like Guruji, Nagnathiji Subramaniam and others who are here, are guiding you to a right path, in the right direction. I am sure you will understand yourself, which is a lifetime experience. Matthew Arnold, while writing about the various Western epics, makes a statement. An experience of an epic poem is the experience of a lifetime. That is what he says. Like that here, it is studying the Upanishad, understanding the Upanishad is a lifetime experience. Therefore, Shankaracharya called it is this Brahma Sutra, Shankara Bhashya and other in his other work as it is Anirvachaniya Anubhava, indescribable experience. Avarchaniya Anubhava, it is Sakshat Aparoksha Anubhuti. This is the word he uses in his other work and later by Sureshwaracharya also in his Naikkarma Siddhi and Panchadeshi. It is Aparoksha, indirect, Anubhuti, experience. So having experienced it, you become the spark of the divine. You will not be touched by any of the worldly sorrows, worldly activities, because you are enjoying within yourself. Namaskar, Dhanyavad. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
I request everyone to applaud. We can end the session with Shanti Mantra. Sarve santu nirāmāni